Yo, it's the Elohim, the mellow mystic, Lord Emmanuel, chief of simonicanation, spiker star seed, the wheat in the virgin's hand. And if you don't know, now you know. Check this out though. I'm about to come with lesson 4 of the sovereignty course from the Simonican Mystery School of Spiker. And if you caught the first lesson, you learned how to declare your political status. If you caught the second lesson, you learn how to administer your own estate. If you caught the third lesson, you learn trust law and the redemption process. This one, lesson 4, goes into courts, contracts, and commerce. Because to master the game, you got to know the players. Well, you must know the board, the rules, and the players. So the lesson purpose is to learn how to navigate the public realm, courts, contracts, and commerce without becoming entangled. You'll learn how to stay in honor, how to respond when summoned, and how to engage with the system as a private living soul, not the debtor or the corporate fiction. You know, and I might make a part 2 of this because I wanted to show how courts are essentially banks. And I wanted to show how when they summon you, how they doing witchcraft. You know, and the legalese and some of the terms that they use to trap you. You think the word mean one thing and it got a whole legal definition. But depending on the time, I might do it with this video, and then after that, I'm gonna drop the right to travel course. You know what I mean? Because you don't need no driver's license. You don't need to register your automobile, your private conveyance. You don't need to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? But you do need to properly assert your right to travel. And so I'm gonna drop the right to travel course after this. And but without further ado, let's get into the lesson 4, because lesson 5 is a more advanced lesson for if you want to create your own jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Your own tribe, your own nation. You want to do something like that. But for lesson 1 through 4 is enough to operate in the private sector. You know what I'm saying? So let's learn the difference between the public and the private. There are 2 jurisdictions, the living and the artificial. Most never leave the latter. So you got the public realm and you got the private realm. In the public realm is commerce, corporations, statutes, licenses, taxes. That's controlled by the U.S., state, the UN, and then in the private, that's the living man or woman, natural law, private trust, and spiritual authority, controlled by you if claimed. Now, everything is contractual. Everything in the public is contractual. Even silence is agreement. Presumption is their weapon. So now you want to decode the court systems because they are coded and they are uh, cloaked, if you will. So you got different court types: criminal, civil, probate, equity. So criminal court, the function enforces statutes, but the real role enforces debt collection. Like I said, these courts are banks. Civil settles disputes, but the real role resolves contract violations. Probate administers estates. The real role assumes you are dead and administers your trust. Equity honors truth. The real role, rare and powerful, where sovereignty is exercised. All these other courts have no jurisdiction. Living man and woman don't got no business in those courts. Now, every court operates as commercial tribunal. You're not summoned for justice. You're summoned as surety for a bonded instrument. Now that's what I'm saying. These courts are banks. They're only dealing with the dead estates. They're dealing with the estates of the dead. And when you claim to be that legal fiction, then they look at you like you are dead. Never argue, never plead, never step into the role they assign. You must flip the roles and appear as executor, authorized representative, secured party creditor. So here's some powerful responses in court. When appearing, say only one of the following and repeat. I am here to settle and close this matter. I do not consent to this court's jurisdiction. I am the executor of the estate. Who is the injured party? Or, I'm here as a living man to settle and close the account in equity. I waive no rights. I stand as beneficiary. I do not consent to be surety. Never give your name as they ask it. Are you, the all caps name? You may say, I'm the authorized representative for that entity, or I'm here by special appearance, not by general appearance. And I could go into the difference between the special appearance and the general appearance, maybe in a later video. So contracts are magic spells. So this lesson goes into it a little bit, but I wanted to go a little deeper into it in a separate video. So contracts are magic spells. A contract is an agreement of minds. In this system, they use adhesion contracts, bank forms, licenses, presumed contracts. You didn't say no, so they assume yes. Fraudulent contracts, no full disclosure equals void. And that's all of these contracts with the U.S., all of these U.S. contracts. There's no full disclosure. They're not telling you what's really going on. So That makes the contract null and void. They didn't tell you what they was doing with that birth certificate and your name. So everything is about consent, even if hidden. It's all about consent. You agree to the terms and conditions. Now you could remove your consent and operate in the private. You could remove your consent from maritime admiralty jurisdiction. You could remove your consent from the United States corporation. The only power they have over you is the power that you give them by consent. And by consent, you create that reality. You create the reality that you see today by consent. Because you could create a whole nother motherfucking reality. Believe me. But your energy equals the currency. Without your signature or agreement, nothing can move. So living outside the system while operating within. As executor and living sovereign, you can still use aspects of the system without submitting to it. So as a tool, you can use private trust, right? And you can use that privately, your private trust to own property, vehicles, assets. The common law ID. Identify yourself without government permission. You are who you say you are. Create your own ID to identify yourself. I wouldn't advise you to put an address on there with a zip code because you just giving them jurisdiction over you. But a private bank or a PMA where you can receive energy without becoming a taxpayer. Private contracts. You set your terms with other living beings. But like I said, the next lesson, lesson 5 goes into building your own nation and how to create your own jurisdiction, your own courts, your own lawful structure. You know what I'm saying?